a I'm in the middle of a return trip for my dad, who suffered a stroke, suffered his second stroke, and had been with me in Maryland. And my sister and I have kind of been helping to take care of him. So I literally spent 8.5 hours driving south to meet my brother-in-law, and I'm about 4.5 hours back today. So you're catching me in a hotel room. I'm not in my podcast studio. I share that to say if there are any challenges in you hearing me, hit me up in a chat thread. But I am excited to share some goodness with you guys today. So my presentation, always begins from a place of gratitude. And if somebody could just throw up a yes or a one right now in the chat window, let me know you're seeing my slides. Good, awesome. So I operate, and I'll tell you more about me in a second, but I always start my every talk from a place of gratitude, right? And I'm most grateful to be Kristen's husband of 12 plus years. Together, Kristen and I are proud parents of 2 crumb snatchers, or 6-year-old son and or 10-year-old daughter. And we adopted a little poochier, a little Pomeranian about a year and a half ago named Roxy. And so, I'm proud of my role as a father. If you guys engage with me on social, I invite you to do so. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. You can always find me at Stephen A. Hart, and my website's stephenahart.com. But, beyond what's there, I am also a proud podcast host of the Trailblazers.fm podcast. I've been podcasting. We actually just celebrated our 5th birthday or 5th anniversary 2 weeks ago. And I interview and explore stories of successful Black entrepreneurs and leaders, and have been blessed to have interviewed over 200 plus professionals at this point, and impacted hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And impact is the word that I'm living on in 2021. And so my goal with you guys for the few minutes we have today is to help you to create an amazing personal brand that is authentic, impactful, and most importantly, is profitable. Now, I'm going to make you a promise. I'm going to show you way more than 6 tools, tips, and strategies that you can begin to put into action immediately when this day is done, right? But I don't believe in you guys hearing all the gems, because I've been tuned in today. I've been hearing all the gems that have been shared throughout this conference, throughout the creative con. But time's ticking. They say a goal without a date is just a wish. And so I need you to make a promise to me that you are going to execute on at least one thing that I'm going to share with you. And I'm giving you 30 days to do so, right? If you're willing to take that challenge before you see anything else that I have to share with you, I want some ones in that chat group right now, in that chat window. I want you to throw up some ones that you are action takers, that you're going to take some action based on what I'm sharing to help you improve on your brand. I'm getting some ones. I'm loving it. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, everybody. Loving it. So I believe we start from a level playing field. You guys have all heard different things about personal branding, right? But a brand, in short, is a set of features that distinguishes you from others, right? We could be talking name, we could be talking logo, which many people think or hear of the word branding, and you automatically default to the graphical elements, those brand identity elements. And your brand goes beyond that, right? Your brand could encompass your voice. I'm a podcaster. I'm originally from Jamaica, spent my first 16 years of life there, but I migrated to the States 27 years ago, almost 28 years ago. And so I have this mashup of an accent. People are always like, where are you from? But that makes me unique. My own experiences make me unique. And so there are a lot of things, both tangible and intangible, that go into your brand. But the act of personal branding is an ongoing process, right? It's dynamic. And it's what you are doing to create a distinct presence, both online and offline. And why brand? Why worry about your personal brand? First and foremost, it's going to help you to clarify and amplify your message, right? Your idea. I'm a marketer by trade. I manage marketing within the cybersecurity realm, and I work for the world's largest cybersecurity training institution. And my number one goal each and every day for this 8-figure curriculum that I manage is to bring attention to the courses for which I market. I'm looking for attention, right? You are looking for attention. The first thing that has to happen is people have to know about you. They have to know about the book that you're writing. And once they learn about you, you also want to make it memorable. And the goal over time is that your consistency helps to add credibility and trust to who they perceive you to be, right? So I'm going to talk about 6 steps today to help you jumpstart your personal brand if you've not yet gotten to this. This is something you've been thinking about, or maybe you have, and you're like, how can I enhance it even more? I think like building a house, your personal brand begins with you building a very solid foundation, right? And I have an acronym for my foundation. It's your A plus MVP, your A plus MVP. I'm going to talk about A plus MV. We don't have time to get into the P today, but the very first thing that you guys have to get clear on is understanding who you will serve, your audience, right? There's value in understanding exactly who you're focusing your message on, because everyone isn't your audience. Everyone is not your audience. I cannot be as effective giving the same message, speaking in the exact same way to my mother, the way I would to my wife, the way I would to my 10-year-old daughter, right? I'll probably get in trouble in any one of those scenarios, right? If I'm giving everybody the same message in the same lights, your message is going to be, much better received if you understand exactly who you're speaking to, right? Get clear on both the demographic as well as what we call the psychographic. You're going to understand this is a woman, she is in this age range, she is educated, she earns this much, she lives in this location. Those are the demographic pieces. The psychographic begins to tell you what she values, what's challenging her, what is keeping her up at night. When you understand that, you have a better idea on how you are serving that person, in addition to the demographic details that you have. I understand many of you are in the process of writing books. When you understand that person or those people, right, group of avatars, group of people make up your audience, right? So begin, as you communicate with different people who you're serving, begin to have those conversations. You don't even need to ask them. You can have that conversation and say, okay, this is that person. This is how old they are. You can jump on their LinkedIn profile, figure out where they're located, figure out how, based on their job, you can figure out what kind of income they're earning. And you can have a dialogue and say, hey, what's challenging you right now? And you begin to have understanding of, okay, Marcus is having this problem, Joshua is having this problem, Annette's having this problem, Holly's having this problem. When you begin to understand that, and you can begin to tie together common themes, now you're cooking, right? You're cooking with gas, because now you know the content, now you know the substance that you're going to be able to serve up to those people. So again, narrow your niche. When I was creating the Trailblazers podcast, right, I could have created a podcast that was going to serve all people in business, but that signal is weak, right? There's a whole lot of podcasts out there that are serving people in business. I could have gone one step further and said, I'm going to serve Black business professionals. And actually, I did that for many years, right? And it diluted the quantity, but the quality of the audience that I'm serving, bar none, right? really strong. But in the last 2 years, I said, you know what? I'm gonna dial in even more. I'm gonna look to serve Black entrepreneurs and business owners. Understand this though. When I did that, I said, I'm gonna serve this very narrow niche, and I'm going to be okay repelling everybody else, right? And I'm good with that. Because I have said, this is exactly who I am for, I've received a lot more money by way of sponsorships, by way of selling products and services, because the people who know I'm looking to serve them, they're clear on who I am and what I'm doing, right? And there's no confusion. I'm going to talk about confusion here in a second. So that's the audience. The next thing I want you to be very clear on is understanding what's your why. And this ties together. I'm looping in both your mission and your vision. I think your mission is it really is respective of your short-term goals, but that needs to tie itself. It needs to connect the dots to a long-term vision. When you look out 10, 20, 30 years out from now, and I look out 30 years out from now, I hope and pray, and I'm working towards sitting on a beach chair on the north coast of Jamaica, not seeing the snow that's outside right now, right? But why are you doing what you're doing? What's in the book that you will write at some future point that the world needs that only you can give to it? And why won't you give up, right? As I shared, back in December 2019, even before we got into 2020, I got 4 days before Christmas, my dad had a stroke. He had his first stroke. And that shut me down last year, right? On top of COVID, on top of my wife getting sick, on top of kids being home from school, on top of. And all the noise got to me. But in that noise, I had a very clear vision. I had everything documented. So get that idea, get that vision, get those goals and dreams out of your head, down on paper, down in a document. Because you can't edit the ideas in your head, and you can't see where you're trying to move with it stuck here. So get your vision out, get your ideas out, get yourself into a program. You can use Evernote, you can use Coda.io, you can use Asana or Trello. Leverage one of these free tools, right? And begin to work on getting clear on what that vision is. What are you looking out 3 years, 10 years out from now? Begin to reverse engineer that process, right? And figure out, what do I need to do this year, this month, this week, today, right? So we talked about the solid foundation, and I could go, the full day on this. What were the free tools you mentioned again, Bridget? I mentioned Coda.io, Evernote, and Evernote should have given me some money by now. I've been talking about them for about 4 years. Trello and Asana. There we go. All right. So step number 2, and I move quickly to make sure I'm respectful of time and can answer some more questions. So step 2, you need to create an epic brand identity. Brand identity is really wrapped in everything that's visual with your brand, right? So one of the first things that our brains will perceive from a brand in terms of the visual is color, right? It's one of the things that pulls us in, and the reason for that, even research shows that people make a subconscious judgment within 90 seconds based on color alone. So you have to give thought. And again, right now, we live in a global economy. We live in a digital society, right? So there are people that will see this from different areas of the world, and color has its own psychology. Right? You can Google more about that if you need to. But you have to be mindful that certain colors have certain meanings in different parts of the world, in different cultures. So you have to be really thoughtful about the colors that you're using. Blue is a symbol of trust in many countries around the world. That's the reason you see, certain big corporate hubs will leverage a shade of blue. Orange or yellow signal happiness, optimism, right? Red could signal danger. It could signal love, right? Black could be mourning. So every color, purple, very royal, very regal. Green, money, nature, right? So give thought to the colors that you're using and make sure that these 6-digit numbers at the bottom of each of these color palettes that I'm sharing with you here, that is actually what's called a hex number, a hexadecimal, and it's a 6-digit, 6 characters that define a very specific color for that shade of blue. So you're looking at my color palettes, a part of my color palette here, 002663 is the hex code I use just about everywhere. Defining your color as a headline, that is 002663. I can punch that into PowerPoint, I can punch that into Canva, I can punch that in anywhere, and I know that I'm going to get the exact same shade of blue. I can pump in FF5C24. I'm going to get my shade of orange every single place that I go, right? And so what happens, this is one of the the least expensive, easiest things you can do to begin to create cohesion with your brand identity. And my keyboard doesn't like me right now, so I'm just gonna punch here. All right, so another thing that you can work on with your brand identity is your typography or your fonts. You think about right now, you're looking at 2 different fonts, but you look outside your window, you look on your phone, you look on anything else, the book that's sitting next to you, there are fonts. And some fonts are fun. So if you're writing like a children's book, you're going to probably look at fonts that are more fun and friendly. Versus if you're writing something that's a little bit more dramatic, it might require you to have a different style of typography or font style. I generally will tell people to look at what are your font pairings. Now you're going to have a font pairing for your personal brand, and you're going to have a font pairing for maybe content that you create, whether it's a book or whatever other content piece that you're creating. But you want to start looking at your typography. The next thing you really want to focus on is your photography, right? You have to drop the spend, and you need to get yourself good, solid photography. COVID is the first time last year in several years that I didn't spend at some point in the summer getting a photo shoot done, spending $200-300 and making sure that I am getting the best. Darian says he loves Minda's cover. This is her new book that she just is in pre-release right now, and I love the cover too. But whether you're using your photo or using others, make sure that you have high resolution, good, solid photography. It's going to come back to you tenfold, right? So make sure that you're taking care of your photography. And just those 3 elements, I could talk about a myriad of other brand identity elements that you can take care of. But if you took care of color, fonts, and photography, you're already ahead of the rest and you're beginning to stand out from the crowd. Now, step 3, you have to clarify your message. Right? You have to clarify your message. I love to say you have to clarify your message so your customer, your ideal customer is going to listen. If you confuse, you lose, right? If I cannot digest what you're sharing, I'm going to move on. There's just so much noise that we are receiving in every day that if you can't tell a story to make my 6-year-old and 10-year-old understand, it's going to be too much for me, right? So pay attention to the messaging you are putting out, whether it's your bio, your story. My sister Patrice Washington, right? Patrice, no matter what the platform, whether she's on her own podcast or she's being featured on stage or she's on whatever, Patrice's story is consistent. Patrice is also a multi-best-selling author. I'd encourage you to watch Patrice in different environments. Listen to her tell her story. It's very consistent over time. And you want to make sure you're working in your messaging where it could be delivered in an elevator pitch. If you and I are speaking at an event for 2 minutes, or if you're going to be interviewed on a morning radio show for 5 minutes, or you're going to come on my podcast and we're going to talk for an hour, right? You need to be able to be flexible with your story and know how you're going to articulate your story and your message in a way that's easily received. The fourth step is that you have to create an online HQ, or online headquarters for yourself. Your Facebook page is great. Your Instagram, your Clubhouse, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, these are all alternate platforms. But at the center of it all, you need to have a personal website, right? That is where you're pointing everywhere back to, but it is the one place that you have complete control over, right? You can write this down. A solid website probably won't close a sale, but it can absolutely lose that sale for you, right? And that sale could be somebody buying the book. It could be a speaking or media engagement. It could be sponsorship opportunities and a myriad of other things. But you have to make sure that your website is tight, right? Because a good percentage, and I don't have that slide up, and I'm not thinking of the exact percentage, but if somebody comes to your website, or if somebody wants to refer your website to someone else and your website ain't tight, they're not sharing your website, which means they're not sharing your products and your services, and you're gonna lose, right? So your website needs to clarify the message, and you're looking to establish trust, and don't just have all this content, you're not telling them what you want them to do. So you need to call them to take an action, right? Step 5, you want to build a cohesive digital footprint. We just talked about this. You need to make sure that when you take care of the brand identity, when you take care of the clarifying message, when you take care of the website, now you're going to put this all together, right? So whether somebody jumps on my LinkedIn or my Twitter or my Facebook, they're seeing a very consistent look and feel, right? Both the visual elements as well as the copy is very consistent. You know exactly what I do. You know exactly, I'm calling your attention to my website in just about every location. And in my cover, I'm telling you, I go live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? So consistency is the key. Throw up some ones, or throw up yes if you post at least once a week on LinkedIn. At least once a week on LinkedIn. Marcus says he does. Right? Let me share something with you. LinkedIn gives up about 9 billion impressions every week. About 9 billion impressions every week. And only 3 million people are sharing content on LinkedIn. So they're getting all that traffic, right? 3 million pieces of content getting 9 billion impressions on a weekly basis. Start taking the time to share content on LinkedIn, right? I am actively engaged myself doing live streaming, but I will share other people's content. I will share my own content. I will try to get and leverage and reach out to other people, right? And see what we can do to share content, co-create content. But again, coming back to it, from your social profiles and talking about your digital footprint, make sure that you have consistent URLs, right? So again, when I started this talk, I said, you can find me at Stephen A. Hart or StephenAHart.com everywhere. There's no confusion. If you're going to tell me I am at Stephen-Hart on Twitter, I am at Stephen A. Hart on Instagram, I am /in. You remember what I told you the first one was yet? Because now you lost, right? Like if you're going to give somebody 4 different handles and a different web domain, they're not going to remember any of it, right? So you want to reserve a domain address that and secure the handle for the same address in a perfect world. I understand it's 2021 and that might not be the case, but that is your goal if you've not yet done so, right? Branded covers, try to make it consistent, try to make your profile photos consistent everywhere, right? Spark curiosity and begin using video. Guys, listen, a lot of people tell me, Steve, I'm afraid of video. Guess what? You've been on video for the last year. Every one of us just about is on Zoom calls several times a week, and you're sitting in these calls, you're engaging, right? You can get on video, get over yourself. I am my biggest critic, right? And I hate the sound of my voice. but there are 400,000 people that feel otherwise and keep listening to me on my own podcast. So I get out of my own way. I get my voice out there to share whatever message, because I know that there is a message I need to share that's going to impact a life both now and in the future. You have the power. God's given you the power to impact somebody else's life, right? But you have to get out of your own feelings and get on that video, create that content, right? That other people need. So why am I going backwards? We don't want to go that way, right? So last step, creating valuable content. I kind of spoke to that, right? Create the content. Again, leverage all the things we talked about. Make sure that you're using your colors consistently in different platforms. Make sure that you're using your fonts consistently. High quality image. You know, you're clarifying your message. You're calling people to take a particular action in and throughout, right? So that's my message. If you need help, you know, feel free to email me, connect with me. I'm most active every day on Twitter. I'm also on the gram. The gram is more so where I share a little bit more about my personal journey. And Twitter is where, you know, we can rant. Marcus keeps up with me just about everywhere. I am presently working right now to launch a new personal branding essentials bootcamp. A month from now, on March 20th, it's going to be a full day, 10-hour camp, live virtual experience. We are building up the cohort for that right now. It's going to be a bunch of other busy, heart-centered professionals, entrepreneurs, creatives, leaders who want to build their personal brand that is authentic, impactful, and full. You can learn more about that at stephenahart.com/bootcamp. And because I appreciate Tamika and your tribe, I'm going to throw you guys an exclusive offer for everyone attending here. If you are interested in joining our cohort, you can use the coupon code CC21 to get $200 off the cost of registration. So I will pause right there. Let me come back to the chat and see what questions we had. Thank you, Mia. Let's see what questions we have. What kind of content can we share on LinkedIn? Joshua asks. Good question, Joshua. So, you know what? It depends on what you are trying to put out. But again, I go live with video. You know, I leverage a platform now. LinkedIn Live is something you have to apply for, but you can create static videos and you can create shorter bite-sized pieces of content, right? So you could create videos. You can create long copy in your posts and share an image. Long copy does extremely well, right? Follow Paul C. Brunson, follow myself, follow Minda Harts, follow, you know, other authors that you look up to who are actively engaged on LinkedIn. And you can get a feel for some of the content that they're putting out. Quinton Alum does a great job of that. But I'd say, you know, work to figure out what your people are connecting to, right? Also, one other tip before I go, with LinkedIn, you can actually now follow hashtags. So you can actually search and look at how much traffic a particular hashtag is getting and be able to tap in. So make sure within your post that you're also using hashtags, because you will get more momentum that way as well. Any other questions? Let's see. And I hope my tired brain has served you well. Very exhausted, but happy to share with you guys. Tamika, I think I am good here. I don't know if you want to unmute and jump back on with me. I don't know if you have any other questions.
Awesome. Well, this was excellent. This was really, really great. Thank you so much for sharing this amazing webinar with us on how to brand.
You're welcome.
I definitely want to keep you involved for Black Writers Weekend, of course. Yes. And yeah, this is great. This is really, really good. I'm gonna have to have you do my webinar preparing for this PodFest that I'm about to do. This is great, guys. I hope you guys were taking notes. This will be recorded for later on and uploaded to our YouTube channel. Make sure you connect with Mr. Hart and myself after the fact. And I will see you all here for Black Writers Weekend in June. We have 2 more sessions before Creative Con ends. So I will see you all over in the next session. See you guys over there.
Take care, guys.
Thanks.